Okay, let's jump right in. Today, we are going to tackle a super frustrating and, let's be honest, deeply human problem. Why in the world do we keep sabotaging ourselves? We're going to break down the core ideas from the book Rewire that really get to the bottom of this cycle.
It really all boils down to this one question. A question I bet every single one of us has asked ourselves. Why do we do things we know are bad for us? Why do we start a silly argument when everything's going great? Or why do we keep doom scrolling when we have a deadline breathing down our necks? Every rational part of our brain is screaming, "Stop! Don't do it!" And yet, we do it anyway. It's maddening, right?
So, to figure out that why, we've got to look the problem right in the face. Let's talk about the sabotage that we're all a little too familiar with.
This is that feeling, you know the one. You make a rock-solid promise to yourself, okay, this time's gonna be different. But a few days, maybe even a few hours later, you're right back where you started. And the worst part, it's that wave of frustration and self-anger that hits you, because you knew better. It's a universal struggle, for sure.
So what is actually happening in our heads? Well, the central idea in Rewire is that this isn't some kind of character flaw. It's a conflict. It's basically your two brains at war with each other. So, here's how that internal battle really breaks down. On one side, you've got your conscious self. This is the part of you that's slow, rational, the part that makes plans. But on the other side, you've got the automatic self. And this part is the real game changer. It's fast, it's impulsive, it's emotional, and it is always running on autopilot in the background. So while your conscious mind is trying to focus, your automatic self is already pulling you toward that bad habit. This right here is why just trying to use willpower so often falls flat on its face.
So how does this automatic self even operate? Well, it runs on something called paradigms. The best way to think of a paradigm is like the invisible software running your life. It's this deep, deep framework of beliefs and assumptions, usually formed when we were kids, by the way, that shapes how you see literally everything, and we almost never stop to question it.
And here's where it gets tricky. Because these paradigms are so fundamental to who we think we are, we defend them like crazy, even when they're the very things causing us pain. Think about it. When someone gives you feedback that challenges one of your core beliefs, what happens? We get defensive. We deny there's a problem. We argue. We change the subject. We do pretty much anything to protect these old mental structures, not even realizing they're the source of all our self-sabotage.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now, what do we do about it? How do we fix it? Well, that brings us right to our next section, forging your willpower.
Now, this is a really powerful way to look at things. The book suggests that a lot of our self-destructive behaviors, they're basically like a little kid's tantrum. They're not just random moments of weakness. They are an unconscious cry for attention. It's like our inner self is waving a giant red flag because some deep emotional need, often from way back in our childhood, was never really met. And this is the silent, hidden message behind that destructive behavior. When someone acts out, deep down, that automatic self is often screaming, "Please notice me, please stop me." It's just a desperate, roundabout way of trying to get the care and guidance it never got. This leads us to a hugely important point. You can't just bully your way out of this cycle with brute force. It doesn't work. Real, lasting change, it begins with something much quieter. It begins with awareness. You have to be able to see the pattern before you can ever hope to break it. And hey, here's a fantastic, super practical tool to help you build that awareness muscle. It's a simple journaling practice. By just writing down what you expected to happen versus what actually happened, you can start to pinpoint the exact false belief, that flawed paradigm that's driving your actions. It's kind of like becoming a detective in your own mind, uncovering the clues that lead you right back to the source of the problem. So once you have that awareness, you can start building your strength. And a huge part of this is totally reframing how we think about willpower. It's not some magic quality that you're either born with or you're not. It's a muscle, plain and simple. And just like any muscle, the more you exercise it with small, consistent acts of self-control, the stronger it's going to get.
All right, so we've identified the enemy, and we've looked at the tools for the fight. Now for the final section, let's put it all together and talk about rewriting your own code.
The book defines addiction as the ultimate, final form of self-sabotage. It's that critical moment you lose control. It's the point where you might tell yourself, "Oh, I can stop anytime I want." But the truth is, you can't. Your ability to choose freely is just gone. The habit is in the driver's seat now.
And if you're ever going to break that cycle, it has to start right here, with some brutal, uncomfortable honesty. Denial is the single biggest wall standing between you and recovery. The very first and probably the hardest step is just admitting to yourself, I am not in control here.
Now, to help with that, the book offers a really structured path forward. It's a framework that's inspired by the time-tested principles of 12-step programs. We're talking about 12 specific recovery practices, and each one is designed to help you methodically rewire your brain and take your life back.
Here are just a few of the most powerful, most actionable steps from that framework. Taking it one day at a time, that makes this massive challenge feel manageable. Making amends helps heal the relationships you've damaged. And practicing mindfulness lets you just observe your impulses without having to act on them. But the one theme that connects all of these? Repetition. And here it is. Here is the scientific reason for all this hope. This isn't just about positive thinking, it's about biology. Your brain can and does physically change based on your thoughts and your actions. It's a process called neuroplasticity. Every single time you resist an old bad habit and choose a new, better one, you are literally building new pathways in your brain. I absolutely love this quote because the metaphor is just perfect. Your bad habits have carved deep grooves in your brain. Just think about that for a second. You've been running on the same mental track for years, maybe decades. The only way to change course is to consistently, day after day, practice a new behavior, carving a new, deeper, and healthier groove, until that becomes your brain's new default path. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that you are not a passive victim of your own mind. That war between your two selves doesn't have to be a losing battle. You absolutely have the power to actively retrain your automatic self, to strengthen your willpower, and to reclaim your choices. And this is the real turning point, isn't it? The past is what created those grooves, sure, but it does not have to dictate your future. We've seen it, the science shows that change is possible, and the tools are right here. So the only real question left is the one on your screen. Are you ready to begin?
Let's end on what might be the single most powerful message in the entire book. It's a reminder that self-sabotage doesn't mean you're fundamentally flawed or that you're beyond repair. It just means you're running on some old, outdated code. And the best part is this: you are not broken. You are rewritable.